Hello and welcome to Ultraviolet Networks Use Case Explorer. I'm Matt Sharif. Today we're going to be taking a look at machine certificate VPN connections on boot. And then after the user is logged in, we'll perform SAML authentication. So the use case here is I had a customer get in touch with me and ask if they could potentially use machine certs for a pre-login VPN. And then once the user is logged in, they could be forced to authenticate via SAML for broader access. And the reason they do this is that they have a lot of remote users and they don't like to log in and cache the credentials as the user. Now, if you saw the sneak peek, you know that the answer is going to be yes. In this video, I'll take you through two scenarios we can make that happen. So the assumptions for this video is that in one of the scenarios, we're going to use VDOMs. If you're not comfortable with VDOMs, you probably want the first scenario then. You have some sort of certificate management infrastructure, whether it's AD, certificate services, FortiAuthenticator, or some other third-party certificate services provider. You have FortiClient EMS. This was performed on FortiOS 7.2.4, however, is supported on FortiOS 7.0 and EMS 7.0.8. So in the first scenario, we're going to go ahead and authenticate using machine certs. And that particular connection will only have access to Active Directory and the Active Directory requisite services. So it's not even going to be very broad access. Once the user is logged in, they will be prompted to authenticate to a user-based tunnel using some sort of SAML authentication. For the purposes of this video, we're going to go ahead and use Okta. Once they're authenticated to the SAML IDP, they will have the broader access as specified by firewall policy. Scenario number two is a little bit more complex in that we're using VDOMs to broker this connectivity. So if you take a look here, the user is going to use machine-based cert. It's still pre-login connectivity to connect to a VPN VDOM. That VPN VDOM will then permit all traffic from those users to the root VDOM. The root VDOM has two policies, as you can see here. One is the cert VPN to necessary services, and the other is SAML auth for cert VPN. So when the user initially connects, that's all they'll get access to is ping the FortiGate SAML port 1003, and we'll cover that a little bit in that use case, and Windows AD. Once they're authenticated to SAML, they'll get broader access as the policy specifies. This will be a two-part video covering both of our use cases. So our first scenario will be to follow, and our second scenario will be released at a later time. Let's get to it. So we're here at our Windows workstation that we'll be using. If you can take a look, we'll see that there is a user that, while they're not logged in, let's go ahead and actually add some assurances. So we're just going to go ahead and issue a restart. What you can see here is that there's actually a certificate-based tunnel for the machine username that is established here, and that's rebooting. If I refresh this, that tunnel should go away. Pay special attention to the duration. That tunnel will drop eventually. There goes the tunnel, and we should see it come back up here in a moment. And it's back. So with a duration of 1 second. So I'm going to go ahead and log into the host now. And I'm going to so this is definitely an Active Directory login. And as you can see, I'm connected to certificate authentication. It will disconnect. Let's see, it's disconnecting now. It's going to attempt to reconnect. I'm going to close this out right now to show a few things. Run box, ping, actually we'll do CMD, ping ultraviolet.local, shouldn't even resolve. If we open the browser real quick and I go to https:// that won't resolve either. Now, let's just go ahead and sign out one more time. I'll go look and see our VPN tunnel dropped. And now it's back, still machine cert based. We'll sign into AD. And now we'll let it go through the regular workflow. Once I'm done showing you the actual workflow, we'll go ahead and work through how this is built. SSL VPN connection is down. It's kicking off the SAML authentication, an external browser. Keep me signed in. And there goes the connection. And once the tunnel is up, this will go away and you'll see that your VPN connection has been redirected to FortiClient. You may now close this browser window. And we are connected, and let's go ahead and run those checks we just did. Ping ultraviolet.local. Now that resolves. That too comes up. So we are definitely connected via VPN. And if we take a look and refresh this, you'll see it's actually going to switch from my machine account to my user account. If we go take a look at the policies real quick that are allowing this, we'll go to SSL VPN. So this is the Cert VPN for necessary services. This is what's allowing the Windows AD login and the ultraviolet machine cert users and access to the FortiGate. The FortiGate's acting as a DNS server, so that's going to be required. And then it's forwarding anything for ultraviolet.local to dc01.ultraviolet.local. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at how it was put together. So the first thing we're going to do is upload our root certificate authority. In this case, it's going to be your Active Directory Certificate Services root CA or your FortiAuthenticator root CA or whatever your PKI infrastructure's root CA. We're going to go ahead and import that here. And it's important to note that this is going to be the CA that is going to be issuing your machine certificates. So the way you do that is you click on Create Import, CA Certificate, and then go to File. If it uses SCEP, you can use SCEP or SEP or SCEP, or you can upload the file. In this case, I've already uploaded the file, and it's this ultraviolet.local certificate. Next, we're going to want to create a user peer with that CA. So the way you do that is you go to the command line and you can say config user peer. And I've already pre-created mine, but I will show you the commands that you need to do this. In this case, I'll do show. So it's config user peer, edit the name of the user you want, and then I set the CA to be ultraviolet.local, which is the CA that we uploaded. And then you'll type end. We'll go ahead and close that for now. Next, we want to create the user group. So we'll go to user and authentication, user groups, and we'll create a new user group. And we'll call it VPN machine cert VPN users. And the members will be this UV cert user that we created. Once we have that user group created, we can go ahead and create the realm. The realm will be used for certificate authentication only. And the reason we want to create the realm is because it is using a different method of authentication than what we would normally use, such as SAML. So to create the realm, we'll go ahead and go to SSL VPN realms, and we'll go ahead and click on there. As you can see, I've already created mine, but let's just go ahead. I'll go ahead and delete it. And then I'll create a new one, and it's called Cert Auth. Now you can customize the login page however you want. I'm not going to do that. And note here it's telling you the realm can be accessed at HTTPS, FQDN, or IP address /cert auth. So we're going to click OK. Now that I've created the realm and the user group, I can go to SSL VPN settings and I can create a authentication / portal mapping. Now currently, if I were to attempt to connect, I'll fall under the web access only and that will fail. So I need to create a new portal mapping. Users and groups. So this will be our machine cert VPN users. The realm will be certificate authentication. We'll give them full access. And we'll go ahead and do that. And don't forget to click apply. Great. So we've got the settings we need on this end for a VPN connection. Now there's one more thing we're missing, and that's the policy. Now I've pre-built the policies, all but adding in the user group. So let's go take a look at what these policies look like. So the certificate VPN policy for necessary services currently has my onbox username. That was just a placeholder to get the policy pre-built. I'm going to go ahead and replace that with the machine cert VPN users, and that should allow us to connect. All right, great. So that's just about everything we need on the FortiGate side to broker this connectivity. Now, there is some work we need to do on the client side. So what you want to do is you want to go to Start, Run, type in MMC, and add remove snap-in, click certificates. For my computer accounts, since these are machine certs, we're going to do for the local computer. We're going to click finish. Now, depending on the method of certificate issuance you use, whether it's Active Directory Certificate Services, FortiAuthenticator, or any other third party, how you distribute the certs is going to depend on your organization. However, this is how you verify whether or not you have a machine cert. So the machine cert is going to be under your, like I said, when we added, we clicked on the computer, and it's going to be under the personal certificate store, and you can click on certificates under here, and you'll see that I have a 70 VDI.ultraviolet.local, which was issued by authenticator.ultraviolet.local. Once we validated our certificate, we're going to go ahead and go over to our endpoint management server, and you'll see we have our endpoints kind of been probably on and offline for a little bit. I should probably refresh this and should see that go green. If we go to our endpoint and we take a look at FortiClient, you'll see it is centrally managed by EMS and it is connected. And now we're going to create the endpoint profile for remote access that's going to help us get logged in and then connect us via SAML. So before we go any further into EMS, I want to explain a couple of things. As of 7.08, these are XML only options. They're not exposed in the EMS GUI. And we're going to go through all of the tags that you're going to need. This is going to augment, and as you can see, I've already done this twice, and this bit me in the beginning because the example posted on the web page has the options up top. However, the options are down at the bottom when you when you create a profile. So here's what we need to input into the configuration once we've built our tunnels. So the connection that we're going to want to make note of the connection that we create, right? We're going to also, you can set prompt certificate to 0 or to 1. Nope. You're going to want to set prompt certificate to 1. You'll set machine to 1. This is telling FortiClient that to expect a machine certificate and to keep the VPN running. What this does is, in the event of a network scenario, it will continue to keep trying to connect the machine tunnel if the device is logged out. Then, under general options, on OS, start connect. This is basically when the OS boots, as you saw, This is going to attempt to connect to the UV Cert authentication tunnel. On OS Start Connect has priority 0. That is a false, which means when we log in, it will disconnect from that tunnel and we can initiate a user-based VPN session. So let's take a look at our remote access profile options. I've got allow personal VPN enabled. You can choose to have this enabled or disabled. And let's go ahead and move over to advanced. Show VPN before logon. We're going to disable this. This will disable the Windows GINA replacement login. So as you saw, I didn't have to select a cert or anything. And then you can choose to minimize FortiClient console on connect or not. That is really up to you. Here's one of the important key things. I have the UV SAML authentication. This is the user-based authentication tunnel. Once the user is logged in, we'll disconnect from the certificate-based and we'll initiate the SAML-based. The SSL VPN settings are the standard settings here. And then we'll go down to our tunnels real quick and I will cover those. So if we go to edit the tunnel, the only thing that I put in here is the remote gateway and the realm. And then the SAML authentication is what we'll initiate after we've logged in. And I've gone to advanced settings and I told it to use SAML login and to use an external browser for SAML. If we go take a look at the XML real quick, I'll show you the settings that we actually have. So the name UV Cert Auth, this is going to be important. Here's going to be another bit of information that we're going to need for certificate matching. To log in with the certificate, to select the correct certificate, we're going to look for the certificate with the type, the match type is going to be a wildcard and it's going to be star.ultraviolet.local. So that's in 70f.ultraviolet.local will fit with that. The issuer will be a simple match. I am only looking for certificates that match this wildcard type that are issued by authenticator.ultraviolet.local. So this will kick off the login with the certificate. The options that I was talking about do show up at the bottom, despite the example on the website being up top. And you need to care about, where did they go? Oh, those IPsec VPN options. These are overall options, excuse me. On OS Start Connect and on OS Start Connect has priority. And that will ensure that we can use user-based VPN. So once we've created this remote access policy, we need to make our profile, excuse me, we need to make sure that that's actually assigned to our machine. So I've just got it assigned, the ultraviolet remote access policy assigned to all groups that fall into ultraviolet. And if you take a look at the endpoint count here real quick, go to dashboard, status, or endpoints, excuse me, all endpoints, 70F, and the policy applied to it is ultraviolet. So we would end up getting the ultraviolet VPN connection profile. And now to validate, we'll go ahead and reboot the device. Once it's done rebooting, we'll go back here, take a look. Session's still alive. It's not done rebooting. Session will die and it will reestablish. And that's connected. Now I'll log in as me. Connected. Cert off. SSL VPN is down. Yes, it's me. Close my browser, and there we go. And that brings us to the end of our first use case. In this use case, we went ahead and used machine certs to authenticate to a certificate-based VPN realm. Once we got logged into Active Directory, we went ahead and disconnected automatically and were prompted automatically to log into a user-based tunnel that leverages SAML so that we can use user-based policies. In our next video, we're going to go ahead and take that a step further where we break out the VPN functionality into its own VDOM so the certificate-based tunnel stays up the entire time. And then when we attempt to access internal resources, we are prompted to authenticate via SAML using policy authentication as opposed to VPN authentication. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been informative. If you liked this video or enjoyed watching this, if this was at all helpful, please, please, please like and subscribe. It's a small action on your part, but we definitely and truly appreciate it. Thank you.